Welcome to episode 4 of That's What I'm Saying, the podcast about hip hop, entertainment, social issues from a sometimes ratchet but mostly woke perspective. I'm Shaun.
And I am Nye.
So, Nye, what are we calling? We are doing this is our 4th episode. Mama is so proud of her babies. We are doing really well. So, what are we going to call this episode?
I really feel a deep love and appreciation for Cardi B right now.
Yes! Cardi B for
Oh my God,
president.
that is my girl right now.
Hercules, Hercules.
So Cardi B's album dropped this weekend or a couple days ago. It's called what is it called? Invasion of Privacy. And she was also on SNL. She was the musical feature.
I
And she
missed
announced
it.
her pregnancy on SNL, which is so huge because, in entertainment, and even in the workplace, as women, we kind of have to like put our womanness on the back burner. And so,
Yeah.
especially when you're in the public eye and you're in like a music, especially in music where your demographic is maybe to a younger crowd, they don't want you to really be in relationships. They don't want you to be pregnant. Like your image is
Right.
so cultivated, and so the fact that she just announced her pregnancy and she just really just I don't know the reason why I really like Cardi B is that there's no one way to be a woman. You can be Michelle
Right.
Obama and you can be Cardi B and you can be everything in
There's
between.
50 Shades of Us. Right.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I love that she represents that part because I think everybody has like a Cardi B in
Ow.
them. You know,
Ow.
you know, everybody has that kind of persona. Well, I do. I don't know, and I feel
I
like
second that. I'm saying yes I do. I embrace my Cardi B. And I love that she
yeah, this is.
embraces who she is. Like there's no cut cards with
Mhm,
it. She is who she is. And I'm so proud of her for her meteoric rise, to the ranks that she is. She's on Saturday Night Live. How long it's taken seasoned performers to get to SNL, and she's
mhm,
doing it. With her red
mhm,
wigs and her maternity dresses, looking whatever she's looking. But I love that about her. That there's a realness that you really don't see, and through it all, she's a dope MC. That's the thing.
she really is. Like if you listen, and I hate when these people try to say, well, she's like, they don't like the way she raps. She can't rap or sound sports, whatever. But if she has a flow, she has a flow, and I don't even know all the little technical rap terms, but but I like her flows when she raps.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? I love
Yep.
her.
It,
I
she's
love her.
she's a I don't care what she's a bit of a lyricist. I like it. I like it a
Thank you
lot.
for saying
So,
that.
hmm
Thank you for saying that.
right.
I actually
I ain't
listened to
ashamed.
her today in the gym. So it's you know what? When I was thinking, I was like, I took Fab out of my rotation
Uh-huh.
and I replaced it with Cardi B. And I'm
And
like,
you still keep it going. You
I
still in the
still keep it
treadmill.
going. But I was just thinking about like the I don't even know the word I want to use, but how Fab is like I hate Fab right now because of what he did to a woman, and
Yes.
I'm loving her because of the woman she is. It's
Mm-hmm.
like an interesting kind of thing. But anyway, so I was listening to her and in the gym and it was on repeat, and I was in the gym twerking. Didn't even know what I was
You
doing.
you die.
Girl,
What?
didn't even know what I was doing because I was just so into her music. She had a song called Chicken Head. You remember back in like the 2000s, Project Pat had this song called Chicken Head.
Yep.
Yeah,
Chicken,
so she
chicken.
had a song when she sampled that. Girl, that's my shit. That is my shit.
I definitely I gotta hear it. I gotta
Girl,
listen to the whole thing because I
go
mean
Google
I'm with her on that motorsport and girl,
play.
I'm a Cardi B fan and I'm not afraid to say it. Okay,
Yeah.
she's winning. She's definitely winning the game. So who says that you could? I think she dropped out of high school and she was on the pole when she was like 19.
Hmm.
Winning in this thing called life. So
Yes,
keep on doing
winning.
what you're doing, Cardi B. Okay, okay, okay. So moving on.
Moving on. And real quick,
Uh,
Oprah gave her a shout out.
On what?
Oprah motherfucking Winfrey. Just
On
came out on like her pregnancy and all that stuff, and her album dropping. She gave her a
stop.
shout out, Oprah Winfrey.
Where did she shout her out?
On well, I saw it was a screenshot on Instagram, so it was either Instagram or Twitter. I'm
Love
assuming
it.
it's Twitter, but
Love it.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Just like
Anyway,
don't you get inspired to like live your dreams? Live
girl,
your
I
dream
do.
life.
Girl, I
Cardi
do.
B be inspiring you to live your dreams?
Right? She does, because I'm like, yo, she is a classic. Like, she did not have a silver spoon in her mouth. She does not come from legacy. She does not come from money or privilege. Like,
Hmm.
she has like worked her way to where she is and
And
worked
I love
hard
it. I
for
love
it.
the story. I love the story. Okay, all right. So,
Anyway,
we got a little bit more ratchet. I just want to touch on this for half a second because I just find it so amusing, and so just like some of our people's here. So, Tyga, as you may know, is being sued for like I can't even get it out. So he was renting his home somewhere. It sounds like Beverly Hills from this woman, $40,000 a month. And he stopped paying the rent back in January, and he's being sued by the owner. And come to find out that his 5-year-old son, King Cairo's name is on the lease.
wow, that is like some hood shit for
So this
real.
little boy is now a defendant in the rent court in the eviction lawsuit. It just
Mm.
would just
That
comment
is,
as you see
yeah.
appropriate, because there's some shit that we do. Only us would put the utilities and rent in the baby's name.
And the baby's name. I know he is kicking himself because he was like, I should have bring up the club and the Kardashian. Who was he with? Kylie?
Is it
It was
Kylie?
what kind of it
Oh
was it
man, I
Kylie?
forgot. I don't
One of
know.
them Jenners. One of them
One of
Jenners.
them.
He was with her for a couple of years, and now she had a baby by Travis Scott, the rapper, the Houston rapper. She had
Is it
a
Travis
baby by
Scott?
him.
I get Travis Scott mixed up with ASAP Rocky. Cause
How the hell
I'm
can you
sorry,
do that?
don't they look alike a little bit? No.
Huh?
Okay, I'm sorry. Pass.
Wait a minute, come again. Come
Pause.
again. What'd you say? Wait a minute. What
I
did you
forgot
say?
that you are. Do you remember that ASAP Rocky concert we went to in Miami?
I do, but go back to what you just
Okay,
said.
okay, okay. I'm sorry. I thought
They
that
look alike.
they had a similarity. I thought they did. They just look. I'm sorry. Don't they look
They
alike?
don't look alike at all. No! No!
Okay, I'm
No.
sorry. I'm sorry. To me, they did. They both have
Oh,
the. Okay, okay. All right. Look, I'm
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 gonna send
still
the
trying to
picture of
keep up.
Travis Scott.
I need like a little walking dictionary of these new rappers to kind of
Yeah,
keep up. But they look alike to me. So in any case, what were we saying that for? Because okay, so what's his name? Tyga was dating, I think, Kylie, and she just had a baby, but that's not Tyga's baby. He
no,
he, he really you're supposed to capitalize once you become a part of that Kardashian empire. You're supposed to capitalize. You are not supposed to be owing 40 grand a month on a spot and put it in your baby's name. That's really all I have to say
girl.
about that. King Cairo, I mean, you're too young to have your identity teethed by your pops.
Teeth. It's a teething.
Teeth is identity already.
His
Already
identity.
done. It's already done. It's FICO already done.
Poor baby.
Poor
Poor
thing,
baby.
poor thing. But this is the shit that we do. Just you need a good person in your corner, somebody in your corner to really set things
Mhm.
up. This is when shit goes wrong, and that's all out there. But okay, moving on. Um, Continuing with the ratchet. So do you watch Real Housewives of Atlanta? I don't think you and I've ever talked about it.
I used to watch it like years ago, but I don't
Not
really
get it
watch it
to. So
anymore.
yeah, I'm kind of like like years ago, but like the franchise has been. I think for Atlanta, they've been on for like 8 years. So
Hmm.
I was invested for the first couple of years. Now I'm like, girl, these chicks is older than me, and they still doing that arguing shit. So
Oh,
yeah, so I'm a little thrown off by all of that, by just the whole thing. But Sheree got fired for the second time. Um,
wow. She just
I
got
don't know. She
what
was trying
the
to
her,
she was trying to keep a story going on. She was dating the the felon, the quote unquote white collar crime felon who was denied was denied parole, so he's in there I think for like another 4 or 8 years, something like that. So yeah, so her day has come. Oh, I see you sent me a picture of Travis Scott.
Right. So does he look like ASAP Rocky?
I'm gonna be honest with you, yes.
Oh my
I know you love I know
god.
you love ASAP, right? So I'm committing
Hell, look.
blasphemy by saying, but they
Okay,
look
listen.
like they could be brothers.
Okay, no. So the similarities are they're very slim. They're both slim. They have the same complexion. I think they have the same hair. Like they both wear plaits,
Thank you.
but their faces don't look anything alike.
They look like they could be brothers or brother cousins, okay? In my opinion. I'm looking at the picture you sent me. So I know you have a
Okay.
love for ASAP. I know.
But
Speak on it, girl, because I know.
this might be you. Are you part white? This might be your white part coming out thinking all this about
Because I think that Travis Scott and ASAP look similar. Oh, like all of them look alike.
all the Negroes look alike.
I just think I think they look similar. They both, like you just said, you named three characteristics that they had in common. They were tall, lanky, brown skinned, had the same type of hair. I mean,
But their
come on
faces are
now.
different. Their
I ain't
faces
the
are
LAPD. I'm not. I wouldn't get them confused. I know. I see
okay.
the difference. I just said they look similar. Okay.
Listeners. Okay, so once this airs, please comment. Does ASAP Rocky and Travis Scott look alike? Please send us your comments, please.
I
Because
said
we got to get to the
they
bottom
could
of
be
this.
related at the family reunion. They look like cousins. So
Oh,
okay, prove me wrong. Okay. Moving on. So
okay. So, but I have a question real quick. So, what's
yeah.
going to happen to Chateau Charade now that she's fired? Did that ever get finished? Her
Oh
house?
yeah, she did. She did get it finished. I saw it on Wendy Williams, and she had. I did see one of the episodes where she had a little party, and then they got on her because she had the rented furniture. But the place looks fabulous. It looks gorgeous. But I got my little tie-ins to Atlanta, and from what I understand, the house is not even in her name, and it's a bunch of rented furniture, and it's all for show.
Is that
And
her grandbaby's name?
no, I heard it was in her mother's name.
Oh. Hmm.
Yeah. So I mean, whatever you had to do to try to stay on the show, unfortunately, it didn't it didn't work this
So, what
time.
did she get fired for?
I think she just didn't have a storyline. She had the clothing line
Oh.
that didn't last. The love of her life is in jail for the next 4 to 8 years. I think when you have, it seems like she was kind of, doing kind of well for herself, and she had us kids, and they're off in school, and it was like, well, where's the storyline? And Real Housewives of Atlanta, you have to have you got to keep up some sort of drama. But she
Yeah.
was fired, and so was the white chick. So was Kim Zolciak was fired.
Really? She just got back too, didn't
Yep.
she?
Well, bye, girl, bye. She
Girl.
gone. Yeah. So, ooh, what did I want to speak on? Was it something I wanted to talk about Halle Berry's new man? I'm not really a Halle Berry fan. She is on the outskirts for me on a lot of things. I really don't care for her movies. Um, she kind of toes that line for me for a lot. But, I was looking at her Instagram where she is debuting her new boo. I don't know if you've seen it. Her new Instagram with the quote caption says plot twist. So it's a guy, you don't see his face because his back is facing the camera, and he has clearly he has some braids, cornrows,
Okay.
and he's light skinned, and he's got tattoos all over.
Okay.
Now, I read somewhere where they thought that it was a butch lesbian, but I don't think that's I don't think that's what it was. I don't think that's what it meant. But I clearly think it is a younger boo, which she's known for doing that.
Yeah.
So Hallie is
I think this is I think I've heard about this guy like some months ago.
no, not that one. So she was dating this producer
Oh.
guy, and he was young. He looked so corny to me. Oh,
Yeah,
he was a
yeah.
he looked like a cornball. No, this is somebody new. So clearly she's got this young newer boo, tatted up, cornrows. You know,
No
I don't,
doubt.
if he's gang banging or not. That's what it kind of looked like. So I'm just like, Halle is 51 years old, but she's definitely doing it. How do you feel about dating younger men? Because I know you and I have talked about this before, but this is a segue into the segment where I want to know, what do you think, being that we are women of a particular age, are you
Mhm.
adverse to dating? Well, what's too young?
Oh gosh, this
Because
is
mama take care of the babies over here. Mama feed the babies. Mama
so
make
this is get your milk and your cookies.
got that Similac, girl.
So I fought dating younger guys for so long. Just because I do look younger than what I am. I
Mhm.
think I look a lot younger than what I am. So I attract a lot of guys that are in their 20s, and I'm
Mhm.
like, well, I'm probably closer to your mama's age than I am to you. You
Me and
know,
your mama could be
so
friends.
me and your mama, and I actually had a conversation like that one time. A friend of mine, we're not dating, we're just really good friends, but he's younger than me, and we were talking about his mom, and um, she had him at a young age. And he was saying how old she was. She's like 46. I was like, uh, I need to be friends with your mom, but not my girlfriend. I was like, it was a moment. We just kind of stopped at the same time and looked at each other and just
Uh,
busted out laughing because we're like, oh, this is weird. But that's my homie. That's my homie. Shout out to Derek. That's my homie. But anyway, so I was fighting for a long time, but
mhm.
I kind of just go with it now because you know I just kind of go with it now.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
the back of my mind, I'm thinking, I don't think this is not going to be anything serious because a lot of them won't. We're just in two different places in our lives, and we can have fun and hang out and do that. But when it comes when it comes down to something solid and a commitment and long term, I don't think it will work
Hmm.
out.
So
But just having fun, I can have fun all day.
right, and that's the thing. It's fun. Like, my commitment to the younger generation. Each one teach one.
Teach the youth, teach the truth to the young black
It's
youth.
black too. I mean, and it's the same. I look at it the same way. Like, I probably don't look as old as I am. So I always get hit on by girl like 19, or early 20s, and I'm like, baby, I could be your mother and not your teenage mother either.
Right.
What these little young things know. But then the other end of that is when I meet someone who's my age or a little more mature, it's like he done went all the way over left. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's got on the Dockers and the pointy
Yeah.
toe shoes and the mock turtlenecks. I mean, and with the chain on the outside of the
Girl.
turtle.
It really and I think about I remember one time I was talking to somebody about dating and I was in my mind I'm like I can't dating somebody like 40 I was like late 30s like 38, 39. I was like I can't date anybody that's like 40, 41. But that's older. And then I sat down and thought about it like no bitch that is your demographic. That is your 40, 41. That is who you
That's what you
that's
got
your
to look
thing.
forward to.
Right, right. But a lot of those men, I feel like I'm still young in spirit. I look young, and I like to,
What you
I'm
say? Soft and supple, girl.
I am
Soft and
supple. I'm
supple.
very supple. I think I'm supple. I'm flexible as well. No, I'm joking. But but I like to do a lot of. I like to be busy and active and have fun. And a lot of
Yeah.
guys that are older, that's like 40, and are supposedly in our age bracket. A lot of them are like old and just like crusty and just like
I unfortunately I agree. And it's like I be trying, I want to give them a chance, but I'm like, I feel like there's like a 30, 40, 50 year age difference when really there isn't. But it's just like,
Yeah.
I guess because we age differently, and that's why, usually when a younger dude is like, I could teach you some things, but he's fun, and it's very light,
Yeah.
and their stamina is through the roof. They get over a certain age, and it's like, we gotta wind it up, Craig. Come on, bring the generator out. Let's go. Let's get this thing. Let's get this thing going.
Clucking on it. Is this working? Is it working?
Hello.
Is this thing on?
Lord. I mean, it's my experience, maybe it's not like that across the board, and I have not met my match, but so far, this is what I'm seeing. So, okay, so I'm very happy for Halle if that's what she's doing, because I always felt like there's this Halle curse going on.
Yeah.
She said she's done with love, and Alex the kid, that was the guy she was dating previously, the corny dude,
Okay.
that looked like he had breasts. That guy. So she's hopefully she's moving on, and she got somebody to uh twist her back out properly, because
Yeah.
really that's all.
I hope she finds the one that works out for her, because she's not really lucky in love.
She
So
should really, and then living it out in the public eye. God
no,
damn,
that's got to be tough.
that's
That's got to be
terrible.
tough. I don't know if I can mentally handle that.
It's terrible. It's terrible. So guess what? Movie I saw this week on the Fire Stick. Thank you, Jesus. I saw A Quiet Place. Have you heard about this movie? Girl,
I don't
okay, so this, the background. I love a good horror movie. I like to be scared out of my mind. I like to sleep with the lights on. I want to think something's under my bed. I like to be spooked, like properly spooked, like
know.
real scared. And usually I go towards the ghost and supernatural stuff, not really towards the aliens, the monster stuff. So this movie is about, it's a family of four who are basically hiding in their house in silence, trying to survive this kind of creature that hunts them through sound. So that's the
Mhm.
premise of it. It's John Krasinski, who actually I didn't even know, like, he wrote and directed the film, and his wife Emily Blunt. So okay, we're gonna have it's a white girl moment right now, because we're talking about it's a white people film, but
Okay.
it was really really good. Like, I've never cried at a horror movie. This movie, I actually cried.
Mhm.
Yeah, I wept. I was weeping. I really did. I wept.
She wept. She
I wept.
wept.
It had me weeping. I mean, but it really did. It had me like, I had a range of emotions. Like, it was scary when it was a true horror film. So I just recommend it. And there was a time when I would go to the movie theater by myself and watch something like this. Like, I actually sat in my house. I woke up early in the morning so I could watch it before so I could watch it while it was still daylight outside, before I started doing some work. And I
Mhm.
watched The Quiet Place. I was very on the Fire Stick. I'm telling you, this Fire Stick is the gift that keeps on giving to myself. Like, I am so in love with my Fire Stick. I found an all right copy, because the movie's it's still in the movie theaters.
Mhm.
But it's probably one of the best horror thriller movies I've seen in a long time. So I just wanted to mention that. But I know that's not your genre. You're not horror films, right?
Yeah, well, I used to kind of dabble in it for a little while, but it's not like my go-to. My
Mm.
go-to. I think my favorite genre is probably comedy.
Yeah, I would
Um,
say, yeah,
I think
comedy
so.
too. But boy, I
Hmm.
love a good give me something where I have to watch it in the daytime. I can't watch it at night. I love it. So okay. All right, moving on. So what do you have? I have a couple of things, because
Yeah.
I'm about to get woke on us, so I'll reserve my wokeness to
Okay.
get.
So I have. Let's see. I don't know. So I don't even know if this is not what this is some ratchet shit. So the the owner of Backpage, Michael Lacey, he's charged as a part of an 83 count indictment, which is sealed. So we don't know exactly what the charges are, but we
Wow.
and back in 2016, um, the publication he was charged along with the publication. I don't know how that works, but that they profited from prostitution activity through Backpage. So I don't. If you're not familiar with Backpage, it's like an online classified site like
It's like a
Craigslist.
Craigslist for sex, right?
Well, I mean, they
And
had
other stuff.
right. I mean, they had like ads for like dogs for sale, but they also had ass for sale as well, and they profited from the ass for sale. So you
Pay
get
that
dogs
little
and
fee, put your
ass.
ass up there.
Right. So, the problem stemmed from the personal ads that aided in prostitution, but also child sex trafficking. So
Mm.
this dude, if you Google him, Michael Lacey, you look at this picture, he looks just very grimy and dirty and nasty and just
It's a white guy?
he
Of
looks
course.
like, of course,
Hmm.
of course, he's like an older, 60-something-year-old man, just
Hmm.
gross looking, but super gross looking,
Like a Sandusky.
and
I
so
call all dirty white men Sanduskies.
yeah, yeah. Ugh. So we'll see how this plays out, but I hope they just put him under the jail, and because I don't have a problem surprising with prostitution. I really don't. Because
Hmm.
I think we all prostitute ourselves in some kind of way. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
um,
everybody has a price.
everybody has a
Everybody has a
price. You
price.
know, but what just gets under my skin is the child sex trafficking. That's the part that just disgusts me. So I
Hmm.
hope they put him under the jail and just throw the book at him, and he doesn't squirm his way out of this.
Now,
So
it's like this is. I think we're in the age of Aquarius. You know how what I believe. So all of this stuff is coming to light. A lot of this stuff is coming to light. I mean, truth be told, Backpage has existed for how many years? And
mhm,
over a decade, I believe. So we're just now coming to the point. I think, people are waking up, and there's a lot of exposure going on, especially in, with the Me Too movement, which I want to touch on. These child sex rings, human trafficking, all of these things that have been done in the dark, they are now coming to light. So this is just, a one washing away of one a system that worked at a certain particular time. Now
yeah,
people are turning people in. It's coming up. So yeah, I can see put them under the jail for a long time.
yeah,
Absolutely. I
very, very
wanted
gross.
to do an update on the Timothy Cunningham story. If you remember, I think last week we touched on the epidemiologist, who worked at the CDC and went missing, the black epidemiologist. So his body was found. Allegedly, he drowned. Sounds like in the Chattahoochee River in somewhere in Georgia. Um, this is, me with the conspiracy theory, so I know there's still even more to this story. Um, and I said I was going to follow up and read some of the articles. They said he had written over the course of his career like 26 or 27 articles with the CDC, where he primarily focused on studying health patterns related to race and gender and location, specifically how it affected minorities. So I'm assuming there's a lot of information that he had that he accumulated over the years. So I just I know in my heart that there's more to this story, especially when that we as minorities, I mean, how many times has the government experimented on us and used us as guinea pigs, whether it was a vaccine that was distributed in the black communities, um, or our ideas of population control and how that can happen. We still remember the Tuskegee syphilis study.
Yeah,
I saw the film and I read the book on Henrietta Lacks. Just the way that our government operates, especially when it comes to minorities. So I'm still looking at the story with a side eye. There's more to it. Something interesting I read, and I'm just like, and it affected me. It touched on it. Was it said that when his body was found, he had crystals in his pocket. And me being the I collect crystals. I believe in the healing energies. And this was CNN that reported it. I just thought it was, and I hate to use the word weird because weird is such a blanket statement, but there's something way more to the story. So rest in peace, Timothy Cunningham. Um, and I'm praying that we can get down to the bottom of the story, exactly what happened to him.
yeah. I read somewhere that when they found his body, that he didn't have water in his system, like in his lungs, which means he was dead before he was in the water.
Oh,
and he was found in
I
a
didn't read
fetal
that.
position in the water, and there was no water in his lungs. So that's
Wow, so he had been placed there because I mean, how many black people do you know
you
go
know
out and
what?
drown?
I'm sorry. I'm getting my stories confused. I'll take that back. Never mind. I
Oh my
was
goodness.
thinking of yeah. Sorry. So I actually was thinking about uh, Martin Luther King's brother was killed, like maybe some years after MLK was killed, and he was found in the pool in the backyard in a fetal position with no water in his lungs. I read that story over the weekend, so sorry. My voice
Wow,
got
you know,
lost.
I didn't know that. I
Yeah.
never even heard that story, so I gotta do my research of that. I didn't hear that because from what I understand, Timothy Cunningham was found in a river, and the police have already kind of closed the book and said it's not foul play, but you know, like he left his home and they said he had on
I
his jogging
always
gear.
say that.
And you know, you and I said this that you know, unfortunately, when things come out like this, you know, usually make it look like a suicide or they make it look like you know, some sort of accidental death. And
Yeah.
that, you know, 2 weeks later, this is what we have. I mean, it looks like he drowned, so they say.
Mm-hmm.
So
So they say.
I don't know
Yeah.
what information that he had, you know, or what he knew and how and you know if he was trying to disseminate that. I just know there's more to the story than, you know, this guy goes out, says he wasn't feeling well and then goes out for a jog and drowns in the river. It just
Mm-hmm.
doesn't sit right with me, girl.
Yeah. I lived in Atlanta for a short time, but one of my neighbors used to work for the CDC. He was retired at the time. I don't even remember his name, but we had a couple talks about the CDC and the AIDS virus in particular, and some of the stuff that he told me. You know, I was really I wasn't shocked at all, but one of the things that he said, I don't know if I should even say this, because I don't want to I don't even know if I really want to say this, but back then, I'll just go ahead and say it. So back then, he says that you know if you pay very careful to the wording of the jargon back in that day, back in the 80s, they always said that if you participated in high risk sexual intercourse, which at that
Hmm.
time meant anal,
Yeah.
and you know, and if your partner, if you're a man having sex with with men, or if you're a woman having sex with a man who has sex with men. So what he said was that at that time, I don't know if the AIDS virus is mutated or whatever, but at that time, he said the AIDS virus cannot live inside of a woman's vagina.
I
Like
remember hearing that. I remember
yeah,
reading that. Hmm.
yeah, and he said that he said, you know, if you go back and you read the publications and the stuff that about AIDS back then, they were very careful on how they worded it. So
Hmm.
I think the CDC they have a lot of secrets,
Oh
a lot of
yeah.
secrets. So I'm not surprised that this happened to this guy, and unfortunately we may never know exactly what he knew, what and what happened,
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
hopefully we will. But you know, who knows?
Yeah, it's a very sad story, and I hate you know, just not having the concrete evidence and they how they just kind of just closed the book on it and moved on. So I'm definitely not forgetting. I think this is something that you know, as we continue, this a discourse that we'll have during our woke moments.
Yeah.
So okay, moving on. What else did you want to touch
So
on?
I really want to talk about this. Is not really it's not really a woke or ratchet actually, but um, so there was a this is a new season of Atlanta,
Hmm.
the TV show that was created. Oh, which one? I blank. This guy.
The actor,
What's
is he
this
an
guy's
actor
name?
in it?
Yeah, he's an actor in it. What's his name?
Um, I know Childish Gambino.
Yeah, yeah, him. His real
No, what's
name.
his real name? Donnie Glover? Donnie
Donald
Glover.
Donald Glover. Donald
Okay.
Glover. So
Oh, I'm
this
good.
season, this is season two of it, and the theme of the season is called Robin season. So every episode focuses on one of the main characters,
Uh-huh.
and they're being robbed of something, whether it's money or time or or something that they're being robbed of.
Mm-hmm.
So this episode, one of the characters, his name is Darius. He is he found this piano online. It's a free piano, so he's going to get it. So
Uh-huh.
he's driving to this place, and it's this huge mansion. That he gets there, rings the doorbell, guy opens the door, and it's like this very weird looking man who clearly is a black man that's bleached his face. So his face is bleached. His face is bleached. His hair
Is it a
his
Sammy
face is
Sosa?
black though.
Did he do
Right,
a Sammy Sosa?
it doesn't look as disgusting as Sammy Sosa. And they actually made a reference to Sammy Sosa in the episode. They said look up Sammy Sosa in his hat. So if you Google Sammy Sosa in his hat, do it right now, Sean. It is
I
it
think
is
I saw it. It's, yeah,
it's like Pepto Bismol. It's like he is.
like
I
that shit
think
is dry. Ooh.
he looks like somebody beat him to the white meat and just peeled his skin off, and it's just like the white pink meat to show. It's gross. Anyway, so
Oh, I see it.
always like you almost can't look at
Like,
it straight
who
on.
is you? Who is you? Who is you?
It's
Oh
disturbing.
my lord.
It's disturbing. And he's Dominican. Dominicans have a very weird relationship with race. They
Yeah.
don't
And
like
he's a black
whatever
he was a black Dominican.
they're and he's
Not no
not.
more.
He just
Mm-mm.
he looks very,
He looked
very
like he done
weird.
turned inside out. Somebody
Yeah,
turned him inside out.
he's disgusting. So keep him in your thoughts because he's going through some things right now. He's been
Keep
going
it.
through things for a long
Yeah,
time.
I mean that's that identity crisis, like it runs deep, obviously. And he has
Mm-hmm.
the means, I'm assuming, to do that. I'm sure it's like it ain't just his face. You know how you go get the
You can't
it
just do the
ain't
face. You cannot just do the face. Because I don't want this pink face and this black dick.
black hands and black. You're like
You
you're
got to
like
go all the way.
what is that? So I'm thinking it's all over like that. I mean, and I'm assuming he got it really bad. Like you said, like black Dominicans as a whole, like they have a very interesting relationship with race. Kind of, it's kind of it's like ours. I mean, remember where we had the paper bag theory and the paper bag
Mm-hmm.
test, and I remember my grandmother talking about the blue vein test. So if you like turn your wrist over, and if you can see your blue veins, that's the right color to be. Girl, I see you, you do it.
Yeah.
Just the silly nonsense with
It's
you know
ridiculous.
our race relations, but our relations with ourselves, it runs deep. So I remember that. Are you brown paper bag or are you blue vein? Like,
And you know what? There was a documentary that I watched on race and like the different Caribbean islands and the Spanish parts of the Caribbean.
hmm
Um, and the Dominicans, they have probably like 15 different words or labels for your various shades of brown. It's,
wow.
it's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. And how in the States, how we have like this one drop rule where if you have one drop of black blood,
Mm,
then you're black. And
you's a
that's
nigga.
kind of right. And Dominican Republic, and this was I don't know if this was kind of implemented by Trujillo. He was like their president back in like the
Uh-huh.
20s or the early 100s. So their thing is reversed. So if you have a drop of white blood, you can consider yourself white.
Sheesh.
I know people to this day who say that they are white, and I'm looking at them like
Bless them.
I'm looking like you are
Bless
my
their heart.
complexion. You
Mm.
are not white. They have a serious kind of relationship with race. They don't like anything. Well, I can't say all of them because I've met some. I can't say all of them, but
Hmm.
a lot of them still hold to that. They went through a whole period of trying to whitewash Dominicans. So they have all these, and this happened in South America as well, like Venezuela. They would have all these European immigrants. They make all these
Hmm.
incentives for them to come over from Europe so they can lighten up the population. And that's what happened because a lot of them are darker. They're dark skinned.
Yep. Yeah.
Um,
Mm.
so 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 Going back to episode of Atlanta, so it's very you
Mhm.
have to watch it. It's very weird,
I'm
but
gonna
it's
watch
so
it.
genius. This guy, Donald Glover, he's really talented.
You,
He's really talented. So
I
he's
was
the
watching the show
villain.
last year when it came, but it was really slow to me, and I lose interest.
It's it's a different kind of brand of comedy. It's very dry.
Mhm.
It's very dry, and it can be a little slow. I can see where you say
Yeah,
it's slow,
I
but
lost
I
track
like it.
last season. But I will definitely, since you said, and you know what, my Fire Stick is on fire, so I can watch
Yeah,
it. Ain't nothing
yeah.
but
I
a
would go
thing.
back. Go back to finish last season. This season is a totally different. I'm like, this is a totally different show.
Is
This
it?
is it's totally different. And the genius part about this episode is that the guy who comes to the door, his name is uh Teddy Perkins, and clearly he's like got some sort of makeup on,
Mhm.
but it's the I call it a dance. Their acting there between Darius and this character, the way they kind of bounce off of each other, they have a very delicate kind of exchange during the whole episode, but
Mhm.
it's very genius. The nuances that they have. This is a great episode. It's weird as shit. I was almost watching like through my fingers because it's like I don't want to look directly at the TV because I was like I don't
Really?
know what's going to happen because it was weird. It was just the guy Teddy. He's just very creepy. You know,
Okay,
he's
I'll
just
watch it.
very very
Yeah,
creepy.
I'm
You
all
might
in.
like this. You like scary shit, so you probably would like this because
You're
it's
talking
very
about
spooky
Atlanta
and very
being
weird.
scary though, like the show or the
It's this
guy?
episode. This episode is creepy as shit.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now I gotta. How many episodes is in the first season? Because I can binge watch it, but I
I
hope
don't
it's
know,
like
maybe
six
like
to
10
eight.
or 12. It
Are
may
they an
be, I don't know.
hour? Are they an hour long or 30 minutes?
No, I think like 30 minutes.
Okay, good. I
Yeah,
could do that.
they're pretty short. Yeah, you can do that pretty
I'm a
quickly.
binger. I
And
can do that. I can get through it. Okay,
yeah,
I'll watch
get
it
through
since
it.
you said so.
But
Since you
yeah,
suggested. Okay.
they deserve an Emmys for this episode. This shit was great
Okay.
in this episode. And actually, this season, it's a really good season.
Okay. I'm in. I'll watch it. Okay.
Yeah.
What else do we have?
So I want to touch on this. Is kind of like a woke moment.
Okay.
So last week, um, the police shot and killed a man in Brooklyn. His name is
Yes.
Saheed Vassell. He was a
Yes.
mentally challenged man, and there's videotape of him. Um, so apparently he had like some sort of long silver metal object in his hand, and he
Mhm.
was kind of running through the neighborhood. He was being aggressive with this object, and this is a section of Crown Heights, which is a predominantly a
Yep.
black neighborhood. It's black and Jewish.
It's black and
It's
Jewish. Yep.
yeah,
That's
black and Jewish, but it's like it's Jewish over here, black over here. So, but parts of it's been gentrified. So,
mhm.
he's lived in this neighborhood years, and the people there, they know him. They know he's bipolar. So it's not like they don't not pay attention to him, but it's like they know he has mental issues.
Right.
So apparently, one of these new gentrifiers, saw what was going on. They called the police. The police shot him 9 times and killed him.
Good Lord.
So it's up in arms about this man getting killed, which I don't understand why police can't disarm someone, or why can't we use tasers that shoot? I'm
And
sick of
I
somebody
agree. And
like that.
I talked to a friend of mine who is a police officer because this has been my ongoing debate, that why what is the mentality behind shoot to kill? Like why can't it be shoot to disable? But I mean that's the mentality that most are, law enforcement that they have. It's shoot to kill. It's not to let me see if I can shoot him in the knee and get him to fall. If there's an immediate threat, an immediate danger, and I'm not saying it's right, but that's their training. That's what they're taught to do. So whether it's a body shot or a headshot, that's what they're taught to do. You know.
We come from a people, these people in the country and the world, we're very intelligent. Why can't the one come up and invent a device where you can shoot a taser? A taser you have to be on someone to
Right.
taser them, but that should be something where you can like taser someone from a distance just to kind of disable them for a moment. I'm not saying that this guy shouldn't have been disarmed and taken into not necessarily custody, but he clearly needed some sort of mental help.
Yeah.
Which also is another argument. What are we doing for our people who are low income and poor who have these mental disabilities? Because a lot of times they just get criminalized and they get put in prison. They don't get the proper care, you know, and so they're either in jail or on the streets. And they're not on medication. They're not on any regimen to keep their mood stable.
Right.
And this is what happens. So
Yeah,
sir,
get shot. Yep. 10 rounds. And that and then I'm reading here that the police weren't wearing body cameras at the time of the shooting.
oh,
But it was the security cameras that actually caught it. So I'm like, well, why weren't they wearing the body cameras? I thought this was, that was a requirement. Um, and it does speak to mental illness because like they were saying that he suffered from bipolar disorder, and he was known, well known in the area. Um, which to me touches on a subject of, what do we do with our mentally ill? It's one
mhm,
thing that we as a community, we have a hard time acknowledging mental illness. Like
yeah,
we'll hide uncle and maybe auntie, or they'll be out on the streets, but we don't address that issue, whether it's with some sort of healing medication. We don't address it, and I just remember growing up in New
yeah,
York, that was like, I mean, that was a part of what you see outside. You see crazy this and crazy that, and somebody talking to themselves, and it was an abundance of them. Not necessarily homeless people, but just where clearly there's a mental health issue there,
yeah,
and you kind of have to bob and weave them because it was so many of them.
yeah, mhm,
They just out there. So what are we doing to address that? This young man who, as you were saying, he was clearly known in the community. They knew who he was. But he definitely had some issues that may or may not have been addressed. And not saying this is to me, you and I've had this conversation about the police brutality and the violence, and it's almost like I call it boilerplate. All we're doing is inserting another name in it, and it's the same story no matter what. The police are going to paint it one way. There's no way you could tell me that this man who had a pipe, and you have 5 to 10 police officers come to the scene and shoot him multiple times, that there was this immediate threat that everybody felt threatened. I just don't believe it, you know.
yeah. I don't even know what else to say because it's like we keep saying the same thing
And you keep saying right, and
over
it's
and
like
over
I
again.
don't want to. I don't want to do that. I want justice. Almost look. I'm almost at the point of like by any means necessary. Like what? And this is a topic for a whole. This is another discussion, but it's like, especially in light of we've just come off of MLK weekend, or birthday blah 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 weekend, and I don't want to say blah blah blah. Let me say it this way. Um, just how look how far we've come, and look how much we've been set back at the same time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I feel like we're on like a hamster wheel, and we're
Yeah. So
running, we're
right.
running, we ain't getting nowhere. We're not getting anywhere,
Right. I
really.
mean, we've
You know,
made such strides. We have, but it's like in light of all of the setbacks, it's like that shit don't even shine anymore because we have so many setbacks as a people, as a community. Um, you can't even celebrate our advancements because we've fallen so deep down the abyss. So, I'm looking at, Martin Luther King, and I'm not taking away from the man in the movement, but it's like, we definitely we need a movement right now. Like this is like I think every show that we do, you and I have done so far, it talks about a young black man getting killed by the police.
yeah,
So, when will that story change? When is that change going to come? And it's like, maybe by any means necessary. I'm not out here to incite a riot. I don't believe in going out and picket and I'm not getting my sign and marching around in a circle to do what. I just, but I do want to see change. And really it's an ideological change. It's a change in mindset. And how do you do that? You could read books and you could watch all the TV shows, but how do you change a person's makeup, their mindset, when they already look at you and they say that you're less than and you're below them, and they incorporate that into their daily life? How do you change that? Because that's essentially what it is. I mean, we
Well,
still live in a time where we're like, what, three-fifths a man, we're three-fifths a human being. That we're not so far removed from that. And that especially with number 45 in office, and we have that it's proliferated. We've given the extreme right a huge voice and a a microphone to say all kind of stupid shit. And now you see this, it has affected mainstream media. This far right crazy extremist beliefs are now like everyday fodder on Twitter. You know what I'm saying? Like, people
well,
really
I
live this
really
shit.
don't. One thing that you said that I think that you can't change people, especially people who have thought a certain kind of way for all their lives, and they're 50 and 60 years old now. You can't change them. Even someone who's like 40, 30, you can't change people's minds. And I'm not going to waste my time on earth trying to change somebody's mind. You believe what you believe, that's fine. I'm going to be over here doing what I need to do. What I think is which what I think is part of the path that we need to go is supporting our community. I think
Hmm.
that we should really support our communities. When we and one of the things that I decided to do years ago is that I said I'm going to always live in a minority community.
Hmm.
Like right now, the neighborhood I live in is primarily Hispanic and Black. And I think that's what it takes for us to invest in our communities, because invest in Black businesses, invest in
Right.
our schools, so that we can build an economic base where we don't give a shit about how you feel about us, but you still have to respect us and respect our dollar. Because that's all. That's really, it comes down to the dollar. Who's funding the police? Taxes.
Hmm.
Where are most of the taxes coming from? Certain neighborhoods that are not Black and Hispanic. you know.
Right.
So I
Right.
think it comes down to, like, I'm not about educating you on how great Black people are. If you believe it, that's wonderful. If you don't believe it, who the fuck cares? I don't care.
Yeah, and that's
I don't
and I
care.
agree with you, because that's not what I'm saying. Like, I actually think it's a rhetorical question. Like, well, how do you change your mindset? Because really, you can't.
Yeah,
So that to me comes in where it's like, by any means necessary. And what do you do in those situations? By any means necessary is like, you take away their power. And those are the things that you were saying. Building a communities takes away the power from the outside, who is been imposing it on our communities. So take their power away. And we live in a capitalistic society, no matter how you want to cut it. So the dollar is king. And if
yeah.
we had more control over our own resources, we wouldn't be in a lot of these situations that we're in.
My what I've always wanted to, not once I decide to leave, where I live now, I want to live in a Black middle class neighborhood. Where are these Black
Hmm.
middle outside of Atlanta? Outside of Atlanta, because Atlanta is like another whole other country in terms of that. But
Right,
like,
and just in Atlanta. But yeah, I
right,
know what
just
you
but that's what I want to live in. I want to live in a Black neighborhood.
mean.
You
They're there.
know,
They're out there. I don't want to. And I've lived in one. I think I've lived in one. But then you don't want to feel like you're there and you're isolated and you're not connected.
who's
That's
not
the
going to
other
be
thing.
connected to? Connected to who?
The Black community, outside of the upper middle class, that sometimes they shut themselves off from Ray Ray and Pookie down the block selling hair.
Yeah, and I think that's what happened is there was a time where people said, when I make enough a certain amount of money, I'm going to move to a better neighborhood, and typically that better neighborhood meant a white neighborhood. The best white neighborhood that your money could afford. and
Mhm.
which is understandable because you want your family to be in a safe environment. You want a good school system. You want to feel safe and not feel like you want to get robbed or whatever. So it's understandable. But what I'm saying is, instead of leaving the community, just invest in the one that you're already in and build that up and clean the streets,
Right.
and police it ourselves, you know.
Right. Unfortunately, we're talking about again.
That's a mindset. That's a
That's changing
mindset.
mindset.
That,
Yeah.
but that's a mindset that I'm willing to work towards, work
Okay.
for. I'm willing to do the work for that mindset because that's the mindset of my people. But the other people, I don't care. You know,
I know you die. I know this. Your river runs deep on this
don't
one.
care. It runs very deep because I grew up down south. I grew up in Virginia, and growing up, there were Confederate flags everywhere, and I
Yeah.
never really paid attention to it because that's just a part of life. It's just what it was. And I remember being in fifth grade, and we had an assembly, and we sang the song, and it was the Confederate anthem. I
What?
wish I lived in a land of cotton where old times there are not forgotten. That is the song we sang in this assembly.
What?
I had a fifth grade teacher. I forget her name, but I remember what she looked like, an older white lady. She sat up in the front of our class, who was doing social studies, and she said if she had lived back in the times of slavery, she would have had slaves. We
What?
were, girl, I'm telling you, my feelings run deep for a reason. They're not surface feelings. They run deep. So
Talk about it.
um, my mother died at a young age. So when she was alive, we lived in a black neighborhood. When she was alive, we lived in a black neighborhood. We went to live with my aunt, and we moved
Hmm.
to she got a house built. We were the first black family in this neighborhood.
Hmm.
Let me tell you, these white folks were mean as firecrackers. They were so mean,
The
and not
black
just
people.
the white were mean too,
The-
and not necessarily to me because I was of a certain age. But my cousin,
Mhm.
I have a very interesting family unit. But my
Mhm.
cousin also lived with us. So he was younger, and this is all he knew. He was a baby. He was, maybe 4 or 5. So these were his friends, supposedly his friends, and they treated him so terrible,
Mm.
so terrible. And there's been so many times where I had to go out and defend him. So this feeling that I have is
Comes from
there's some
somewhere.
history. Yeah, it's a history behind it. And I just remember being in high school, and in high school I would say it was maybe like 15 to 20% minority. So
Mhm.
within that, there was, a certain percentage of black kids. Um, and I just remember how white kids got treated differently from the black kids. And I remember I used to be in like AP history class, and how, and I was like the only black person in there. How those kids got attention and I didn't get attention, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Just I never want to put, if I ever had kids, I never want to put them in a position where they felt that kind of inferiority
Less than.
because of how this person made them feel.
Right.
I never wanted
Absolutely.
to do that to them. So it runs deep, and I don't know, and and so once I graduated from high school, I went to a city that was all black,
Mhm.
which was a culture shock again. And I went to a historically black college. What I want to touch on, Blackish, that episode last week was just the most adorable episode. I'll talk
I
about that in
think
a
I
minute.
saw. But go ahead.
But
Mhm.
yeah, so when I moved to Baltimore and I went to Morgan State, shout out to the Bears. I kind of like, and even before that, in high school, I kind of was getting into Black history and like different political figures and um, civil rights movement and Malcolm X and Stokely Carmichael and all these people who back in the day, were fighting for our rights, the
Right.
Black Panthers. So it kind of I kind of became woke, a long time ago. So and it's like once you become woke or awake, you see stuff so differently now. And I think it was James Baldwin. He had this sayings that when you finally wake up, it's what does it say? I can't say it verbatim, but essentially it's like when you finally wake up in this country, it's hard not to be angry all the
Mm.
time, because you see these injustices, and it's like it 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 kills me,
To the
and
core.
it, yeah, it burns me up. because it's just wrong to treat people this way.
Mhm.
It's wrong to treat people this way. So
Okay.
um,
I no,
yeah,
I'm with you, and I think look, we're gonna have to fight these injustices from the inside out. I think it's I don't want to be the think tank and all we do is think about it. Like
right.
actually doing it. Like,
Yeah. So
whoo, we
I
can
kind
talk about it. We can talk about it all we want, but actually doing something.
of
So, look, I think this will be an evolution for us and for our listeners, and just opening up a discourse because you do need to at least does need to be a discourse about it. But like, oh, I'm all about action, so what are we gonna do? And I think instead of trying to change the masses. Like, look, I'm gonna do what I said I'm gonna do. Just like you said, I'm gonna
right.
do what I said I'm gonna do. And that's how the change is gonna be sparked. So I'm with it. I'm with it. Okay, so look, we have been living in the land of wokish for a really long time now. I mean, we got dick minutes to touch on. We got reminiscing to talk about. So, how was your week?
Um, my my weekend was cool. My weekend was actually pretty chill. I was laid back. I had a little rendezvous, another one.
You and your
But it was
RSVPs. Your RSVPs.
it was
Where was
nice.
this
I
one
enjoyed
at?
my time.
Where'd you go?
It was it's the same place. I'm not gonna say where I went, but it was the same place. And I enjoyed myself. I enjoyed the company. So I'm not gonna give any more details than that.
You're
But
not gonna give any more
I
details.
enjoyed
Okay,
myself.
all right. Sound like on some love shit. I'm not gonna say. Oh, okay, all right. Well, look, cause I'm living vicariously through you right now, cause
I
I have no
know.
dick to report. To be proud of you. I mean, I could, but I'm being selective. So I'm just chills right now. I'm just really, I'm look, I'm going to Chipotle by myself and watching movies on my Fire Stick. I'm good. I'm good with life.
Sometimes you need that big time, you know. Sometimes you need.
I
I
mean,
had that big time for a long time, so I'm
you
just
know,
enjoying this little run.
yeah, I'm
You
just,
know.
I'm on hiatus and things will change. It's about to be summertime, but I'm good. I'm cool right now. So, yeah, no dick to report over here. Okay, so is there something else you want to touch on before we get into the reminisce moment, which I'm really excited about?
Real quick, so I did want to talk about the Blackish episode. I thought it was
Oh
so
yes,
cute.
yes, yes.
So
Now break it
yeah,
down.
so go ahead. Okay. So this episode, Junior, he's a senior in high school, and he got some acceptance letters in the mail. He got one for Stanford, and
Oh
the
wow.
other one for Howard. Howard gave him a full ride. Stanford didn't. So he and his mom both, they all for Stanford. They want to go to Stanford, but the father wants them
Uh-huh.
to go to Howard because he went to Howard, so he'll be legacy. So he orchestrated this whole. Dre is the father. He orchestrated this whole
Hmm.
trip to Howard, and he's narrating the whole thing, and it just looks like Junior doesn't want to go to Howard because he just was like, I'm just not into it. So they get back to California, and so they come and talk to him, like, what did you decide? And he said, I decided to go to Howard. The reason why he said he
Oh
wanted to
wow.
go to Howard is what I have been saying for years. I feel like sometimes there's people are watching me, and the things that I think and say, they just write
Google.
it
We
down.
talking about girl. Google be watching. They be listening too. What? That's a whole conversation. But anyway.
So what he said was the reason why he chose Howard is because it was the most diverse population of Black people he'd ever seen. And that is my argument for HBCUs. Like they say it's not diverse enough, it's just Black people. But this is probably, if you go to an HBCU, that's probably the most diverse population of Black people that you're ever going to be around while you're in this country. You have people from all different social economic backgrounds, religious backgrounds, parts of the country, parts of the world. There's so many different political views. You got the super preppy people, you got the Republicans, you got the very woke, and you know um,
Hmm.
those folks, and everything in between. You got the you have everything smart. It's just a huge population of diversity, of diverse Black people, and it's an experience that you just will never get. You will never get again. And that's the reason why he decided to go to Howard. And it just
And he
touched my
said
heart
that to
because
Dre, to the father. He said it.
He said that, and it was just like it
Did
just made my heart
you
warm.
like, oh my baby?
My baby, my baby. He should have went to Morgan State, but
Oh
he went to
Lord.
Howard.
Well, I saw the episode. Maybe that wasn't. I thought it was the last episode, but the one where he was having sex with the white girlfriend and she broke up with him. That's the
Oh
one I
no,
watched.
no poor thing.
That was the one I watched. But
uh,
okay, so I didn't go to an HBCU. I went to Rutgers. Shout out to Rutgers. But I will say, I mean, I'm not taking away, but the experience to me was still, it was a microcosm of the real world. I mean, yes, we had, there was plenty of white people, but there was Asians, there was Indians, and then you had all different type of black people too. I mean, you had, the Malcolm X's and the Stokely Carmichael dudes, and then you had the girls that thought they were white and didn't want to perm their hair and was and wanted to be cheerleaders. I mean, you had all the flavors and all the colors. So I will say that even though I did not go to a historically black college or university, I did, in my opinion, I had a great experience because at the time I think Rutgers was like 10% black, which is really, it's a reflection of the real world. So, not taking away from the experience, but I love my experience too because I was able to find my own, and I mean, college is about your identity and finding yourself and kind of tweaking who you are. So that it really, I was able to see that, and whether I wanted to wear my beads and my and wrap my head up and put dashikis, or if I wanted to like dance to my pop music. I was able to do that and express it because it was always, a people for me to do that. So that's just my opinion. Just my opinion. So
I want my kids to go to HBCU. I don't have any
okay.
right now, but I have any, but if I do.
Well, what do you do? And and I wouldn't be. I want him to go. I want my son to go to where he, feels comfortable. I think college, like I said, is just a place to socialize and see if you could do it. That's what I think it's about, finding yourself and being, trying out personalities that'll fit for the next 10, 20 years, in my
Hmm.
opinion. So, okay. All right. So I think let's get to the reminisce part. This is one of my most favorite parts of the show because all I do is listen to old school now. Like I'm on my old school thing, like heavy, like real heavy. So I want to talk about, do you remember EPMDs, Eric and Parrish Making Dollars? Um you guys to chill? Nope, that's what is it? So what you saying? So what you saying? Do you remember that?
Yes, of course I do.
Okay, so let me put something in your ear because it sounds crazy to me. Do you know that shit came out in 1989?
Oh, Lord have
1989.
mercy. I know the song.
Stand up to the fucking drummer. Wait, but that's not the song. This is what you're saying. So wait, okay. So let me pay some. So I was probably in like the sixth or seventh. No, I might have been going to the eighth grade or something. I was like, it was like middle school going into high school. So what you're saying came out. Remember they used the beat from the Funkadelics, "One Nation Under a Groove," and all this was actually their second. It was the song on their second album. They had one before that. Girl, that shit came out in like 1987. So, do you remember the video when they were like in the boiler room and they had on the fisherman hats? Girl, I was a sucker for any dude that had on a fisherman hat and gold fronts. And remember Eric Sermon? He was a little chunky, he had a little belly, but he had them light eyes. And that's his thing. And they had on their Dockers pants. Yep. They had on their Dockers and the brown Henley shirts. And remember the chunk gold jewelry with like remember the Gucci bubble chain? And the Mercedes Benz emblem. Oh, it was so real. DJ Scratch was actually scratching. So they were like dancing. And girl, one thing I remember about music that came out from that time, I mean, it was, hip hop was really about bragging. Remember, but it wasn't I don't think it was until like, the Jay-Z era a little bit later where you talk about, your drug dealing and stuff. So, and it, about getting girls, like it was really kind of like bragging fun music. You remember that? And it was really about dancing in the video. So I remember in this video, they were dancing in the boiler room, and it was two girls that was doing the Running Man, remember, and the two guys. That
I'm
was
watching it now.
they was up there, and they had on like the loose clothes, and I just remember, you know, um, EPMD was like they was so serious. Like you look, they never smiled, and they were so serious up until E dressed up like Luther Vandross, and he was like Luther Vandross said, "So I am so amazing, and I've been waiting." That was my shit. That was my shit. So, and I remember going to like a high school talent show, and I remember like seeing like the older boys. You might have a little crush on them, and somebody did EPMD. So what you saying? And girl, the dancing was so live and so off the hook. I just that dancing in the video made the video. Like girl, I listen to the song this day. I mean, the employees of the year, yeah, we're back to work. I took time off. All the rappers got dirt due to the fact they whacked and they track had to go back to stack because they lack that. This was a monumentous time. Like I said, it was a time when everybody was sampling, but you still had a connection. Like I remember hearing the One Nation Under a Groove, and I'm like, I kind of know that song from my mother, my father, but they put a dope beat to it.
Yeah.
And just and just flipped it, and like I said, it was just like the braggadocio rap. That was the thing then. So I'm such a hip hopper plus a show shocker. That wouldn't be it. Like and it was the verbal play between them, which I love that. Like the only two that there are certain duos over our time that did it, but I really feel like EPMD, they started that. Mobb Deep, they was with it, and Jadakiss and Styles. That telling a story, going back and forth. Oh man, I missed that. So
I live for that.
Ready to mess, kill the noise.
I live for that. I live for those. For that.
So I'm on my Eric and Parrish making dollars right now. I got my little mix going. It's got a little KRS One in it. A little K Solo. But I wanted to just bring it back to that time. That was such a good. This is the golden age in hip hop, and it's like I wish we could just. I wish the newer generation had more of a respect for this type of music. But they don't. So damn
I
it.
wish they did too. I really wish they did too, because you're on the backs of all these artists who got terrible record deals, who got gypped out of their royalties and don't have their masters. You're sitting on their shoulders, like, and you got to pay homage to them.
Yeah.
Homage. So.
So I just wanted to bring it up. EPMD and scratch for that. All right. So I think this was a good show. Now I think we can end on a really good note. What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm so glad we had this time together. I love talking to you. So all right. We gotta do the promo stuff. So you can visit us on that's what I'm saying podcast.com to learn more. Send us questions and comments. We're also getting our Twitter together. The Twitter is that's what I say 3, like the number 3. So rants, comments, please send it to us. Like I said, we're gonna get it together. We working on it. You can email us at that's what I'm saying podcast at gmail.com, suggest topics, etc. I know now you got a shout out. We got a shout out too.
So also on Instagram, we're gonna get that together too. It's that's what I'm saying podcast. We're gonna get our shit together. And I want to give a belated birthday shout out to our producer, Vegas World Inc.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday! So it was his birthday last week. Want to give a belated birthday shout out, but he's our super producer. So yeah.
Doing big things. Real dogs do big things.
All right.
This is a good one. Signing out. Till next week.
All right. I
Drop it on the random.